And how does it feel knowing that your badge, the one you designed, is on the shirts of thousands of scouts all across the world?
Shocking.
And what do you think of the unveiling today? It's been enjoyable? I'm joined by Amy Keogh, who has the Cornwall badge. Amy, can you explain why you got the Cornwall badge?
So I got the Cornwall badge because for the last 4 years I've been volunteering at a Beaver Scout group in Birmingham, and throughout those 4 years I've been going through a journey with my knees. So I originally had a condition which meant they would partially dislocate on a daily basis, which was incredibly painful. So I've had both of them operated on and rebuilt. And through the operations I went straight back to Beavers as soon as I could. And I took on a role that you might not have expected an under 18-year-old to take on. As a young leader, I was taking on a lot of responsibility. And as soon as I turned 18, I became Beaver Scout leader. So now I'm running the colony. So it was for my hard work through adversity.
And would you say Scouting has helped you along the way?
Scouting's massively helped me along the way. Scouting helped me grow confidence and courage, and I didn't think I'd ever be able to do things such as my Gold Duke of Edinburgh because of my knees, and Scouting has obviously helped me with that. And it's also helped me get a job now. I'm working full-time in Europe's largest domestic violence women's refuge. So that's an incredible job, and I wouldn't have got there without the help of Scouting.
Now, you're here today at the unveiling of the Memorial Project. What does this mean to you?
It means an awful amount to be here, especially as a Cornwall badge holder. It means a lot to have a memorial specifically for Scouts. At the Jutland event on Tuesday, it was incredible to see, but it did feel not so great because there wasn't as much Scout coverage. So it's incredible to have something just dedicated to Scouts, but it's also really great to be here as a member of the group where it all began, to have seen the journey going along the last 7 years. It's been an amazing experience, and now it's incredible to see the finished project.
What would you say to young people who are maybe facing difficulties themselves within Scouting?
I'd say Scouting is so adaptable to everyone. Whatever you're scared of, whatever you think you can't do, tell someone and they'll make you do it.
Amy, thank you very much.
Adam Lubin. I'm part of the 64th Birmingham Scout Group. I have been from since the age of 5. I've worked through Beavers, Cubs, Scouts and Explorers. As soon as I finish my first year of uni, I'm going to train to be a young leader, hopefully in the not too distant future, so I'm hoping to do that. And the work that I've done towards the project, when I was doing my bronze DOV in 2009, we actually came to the Arboretum along with the other 2 girls, and what we basically did, we came down the war cram. We couldn't notice any Scout memorial here. It was all to do with the armed forces. So what we did, we actually tried to get some awareness about how it would be good to have a Scout memorial project here based at the Arboretum during our bronze DOV.
And how does it feel to have a memorial here for Scouting?
Well, I think 7 years out, I think it's a fantastic idea to have the memorial. I think all the hard work is just paid. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I can't wait to see the unveiling of the actual memorial itself. So I think it's going to be really good.
I'm Shilpa, I'm from Birmingham.
I'm Georgia, I'm from Handsworth Wood.
And you were the guys that came up with the idea? So, how do you feel about having a Scouting memorial?
I feel quite honoured, feel quite happy as well that our opinions have been come into action. Over the years we've worked quite hard for something like this to come about. It's amazing to see that there's a Scout memorial for those who have served in the Scouts for over the years and around the world.
So how did you come up with the idea, or how did the idea come about?
I think the idea came about when we first came to the memorial in about 2009, and we noticed that amongst all the many different memorials that there are here, there was none for Scouting. And knowing how much the Scouts contributed to war efforts in the past and fights, both domestic and national, we thought that it should be that the Scouts should be represented. So that was where the idea came from, to have a memorial for the sacrifices made by Scouts.
And what sort of message would you send to Scout leaders and Scouts to encourage them to come here?
It's amazing to see that all the efforts that have been put into the last couple of years, and especially those years in the past as well, is to come and see that the Scouts have been remembered, and that it's going by the saying, lest we forget. We will never forget them, and we will always honour their service to Scouting.
Excellent, thank you very much.
My name's Graham Mitchison. I'm a sculptor. I've been involved with this for 2 years, and I've carved all the stonework that you can see and designed, obviously based on the kids' initial concept. So, yeah.
So what do you think about the concept of a memorial for Scouting?
I think it's wonderful. I think there's always I've done a couple of memorials at the National Memorial Arboretum. I did one for the Bevan Boys and for the Naval Service, and so I spend quite a lot of time up here. And there's always groups of Scouts, but obviously there's never been a memorial for them to come and visit. So I think now that they've got that, they've got a focus to come, and I've designed it so that there's a lot to find and to seek out on it. It's, you know, apart from it being just a memorial, it's somewhere where they can spend a lot of time as well.
And what's been the process involved in creating it?
So I was given some designs probably about 2 years ago that some of the younger Scouts had come up with, and it was really just a case of sort of picking out some of the little sparks, the little gems of ideas, and then just bringing them all together into an overall concept that was going to make this memorial. So once I've got the idea in a sense is the hard bit, because if your idea is not very good, it doesn't matter how well you make it, it's still not going to be very good. But if you've got a good idea to start with, that's half the battle. So obviously with a good idea, and then it's just a case of doing the physical carving work, which is it's time consuming. It's taken about 6 months to carve all this out, just from boulders of stone. So it's been pretty hard going, but I'm delighted that it's all done, and I'll be happier still when they pull the sheets off. So.
And are there any particular highlights to any of the design you would encourage people to watch out for?
There are lots of hidden little things in it, so don't just come and look at it and just go, oh yeah, that's a good memorial, and then move on. Have a look at each individual piece. I mean, even things like the map that we've got on there, it's a map of the Arboretum, and even down to the point where there is a little Scout badge where this memorial is. So little things like that. There's a compass in there that actually points to the right direction. There's loads of little hidden means, and also there are some smaller carvings which are going to go nearby in the woods as well, which you'll be encouraged to go and find. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil the surprise for everyone.
My name is Paul Little, and I'm the project lead for the Scout Memorial Project.
And I know we've had this conversation many times, so how did the concept come about?
2009, I was brought here by 9 explorers wanting to do their Diamond Chief Scout Award expedition. They wanted to come here to see what the Arboretum had to offer and what they could take away from it. They were amazed and enthralled by what they found, but left with the sense that there should be a Scout Memorial here, and they were disappointed there wasn't.
And what's been involved in the project?
The project has taken a life of its own. From a practical point of view, we have sent badges around the world for donations, distributing over 165,000 badges. We've raised an amazing amount of money, and we've had very generous donations. But the inspiring thing is how the project has been picked up by people and run by themselves. People have used it in their program. People have used it to help those that have lost people. It's given comfort and solace to some who have felt tragedy. It's been picked up by Scouts across Scouting movement boundaries and international boundaries, and that has been amazing to see. The project has grown way beyond what we could expect in the first place.
And how's the unveiling gone today? How do you feel?
Exhausted, relieved, amazed, thrilled, honoured. There is no one word that could describe how today has been. It's honestly been one of the most inspiring days of my life. Watching and meeting and seeing people who have used the project, have put themselves into the project, have taken the project to heart, watching the emotion as they approach the memorial, watching the joy and the laughter as we unveiled it. And we were very keen to not have this as a morbid service, a sombre service. There were parts to it that were reflective, but it was to celebrate Scouting, to celebrate and recognise and remember all those that have been before us, and the work they've done and the efforts they've done and the lives they've changed.
And what's actually happened today? What has the unveiling involved?
The unveiling, we've had some fantastic speeches by some of our national volunteers and national staff and the Lord Lieutenant of Staffordshire. We had 8 items to unveil, 7 stones around the memorial and the fire in the centre. We were very keen that those were unveiled by people with stories to tell in Scouting that represented the project and where the project had come from, but also with people the project remembers. We had Connor White with his amazing and inspiring Lest We Forget badge unveiling one of the stones. We had the 3 explorers who, part of the explorer team that came here in the first place, came up with the idea and the concept. But we also had Amy Keogh, who is a Cornwall badge recipient, and she represented all young people who have given service to their community, especially those to the face of adversity, and shown dedication and courage in that. We had a couple of military families representing their young people that they've lost. 2 young boys, one killed in Iraq and one killed in Afghanistan. We also had the widow of a long-serving scout leader, reflecting and remembering the service given by so many to Scouting. We had the designers of the memorial unveiling the fire, and we had probably one of the most poignant parts of the memorial to me, which is the Scout Neckerchief, which represents missing Scouts and those Scouts who are no longer with us, unveiled by the parents, mum of and uncle and aunt of Stephen Young, who was the young Scout who slept in a tent for a year to raise money for charity and was tragically killed in a mountaineering accident a few years later. And that represented all Scouting accidents. We were really keen to show that the memorial remembered Scouts who have served in the armed forces and suffered through conflict, but also other aspects of Scouting: adult service, youth courage, devotion, dedication to duty.
Excellent. So I'm going to do some stuff about remembrance. What advice or encouragement would you give leaders to engage with remembrance in their programme?
Ask the young people what they want. This project came about because it's something that a bunch of young people told us should be here and should happen. And it was by working with them to help them realise the dreams they had and the vision they had to make this happen. Too often we don't listen to young people in the way we should. They have inspiring, wonderful and great ideas. They may need help realising them, they may need support vocalising them, but engage them, listen to them, learn from them, and they will amaze you.